What's good, Raider Nation? Buckle in, because what I'm about to break down is going to shift your perspective on how this organization is positioning itself for dominance. We're talking about moves that show surgical precision, decisions that prove this coaching staff understands championship building, and moments that reveal just how deep this roster philosophy really goes. Today we've got developments that will ignite your silver and black soul. A veteran leader stepping up with championship character, a potential trade that could transform our biggest defensive weakness, and a rookie quietly developing into an explosive weapon that could unlock offensive dimensions nobody saw coming. If you're bleeding silver and black, smash that subscribe, crush that like, and drop your thoughts, because Raider Nation dominates every conversation and every corner of the football universe. The first story centers around a man who embodies everything this organization stands for: leadership, professionalism, and using your platform for something bigger than football. Adam Butler found himself in an impossible position as questions swirled around the Christian Wilkins situation. As reporters pressed for details, as the football world waited for someone to add fuel to the fire, Butler had a choice. He could have taken the easy road, offering generic comments about moving forward. Instead, he chose something much more powerful. He chose to be a leader. Yeah, we pretty much just kind of moved on from the situation. I really don't want to comment further on it, Butler said. But then, instead of leaving it there, he did something that showed true character. He used that platform for something more important than football drama. Whatever you're going through as a person, athlete, non-athlete, whatever your struggle is, talk to somebody. Get therapy. Someone out there will listen and work through whatever you need to work through. Don't make any hasty decisions. Get help. This is leadership, Raider Nation. This is what it looks like when a veteran understands his words carry weight beyond the football field. Butler could have poured salt on an open wound. Instead, he chose to be a voice for mental health awareness, potentially saving lives. Butler's entering his 8th NFL season as one of the most reliable defensive presences in the organization. Last season, he started 16 games, recording 5 sacks and 65 tackles, consistent production that championship defenses are built on. With Wilkins filing a grievance seeking $25 million in guaranteed funds, this situation isn't disappearing. But Butler has shown this organization has leaders who handle adversity with class and purpose. But just when Butler's leadership seemed like the biggest story, the front office was quietly exploring possibilities that could transform one of this team's most glaring weaknesses. And you're not ready for the chess moves happening behind the scenes. The second wave centers on strategic thinking that separates great front offices from mediocre ones. According to ESPN's Seth Walder, there's a trade scenario that could address the Raiders' biggest defensive concern in a cost-effective, potentially game-changing way. The target? Cleveland Browns cornerback Greg Newsome 10. The price? Almost nothing. The potential impact? Massive. Here's the proposed deal. Raiders receive Greg Newsome 10 and a 2027 7th round pick, while Cleveland gets a 2026 7th round pick. The Raiders would essentially trade up in 7th round picks while acquiring a starting caliber cornerback. Walder's reasoning is strategic. The Raiders spent the offseason stabilizing with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. Well, the defense has potential with a stout line, but cornerback is the biggest weakness. Las Vegas, with over $90 million in 2026 cap space, can afford to bet on Newsome. If Carroll can maximize the 25-year-old, he'll elevate 2025 outlook and could stick around long term. Newsome was reportedly available for trade in April. The situation complicated when Martin Emerson Jr. suffered a torn Achilles, but Newsome being a free agent after this season means Cleveland might prefer getting something now rather than losing him for nothing. The current cornerback situation isn't just concerning, it's potentially season defining. Darnay Holmes is slated to start in the slot and his track record is troubling. Holmes has given up his 75% completion rate in 3 of 5 seasons, with his 105.3 passer rating surrendered in 2024 being career worst. Newsome represents significant upgrade. His 59.8% completion rate allowed beats Holmes' 68.8%, and his coverage metrics suggest he could thrive under Carroll's system. At minimum, he'd provide strong competition, but could win the starting job outright. This potential trade aligns perfectly with long-term strategy. A smart, calculated bet on a young player who could develop into a secondary cornerstone under Carroll's defensive back development track record. And just as secondary upgrade possibilities generated excitement, something else was quietly developing in the offensive skill rooms. Something that could prove more impactful than any trade acquisition, built through patient development and belief in raw talent. But the wildest part hasn't been told yet, because while everyone focused on veteran leadership and potential trades, a rookie was putting together training camp performances that were making coaches and veterans take notice in ways that could redefine this offense's ceiling. The third story is where everything crystallizes. All the strategic thinking and roster philosophy coming together in Dante Thornton, representing everything this organization is building for the future. What he's showing isn't just promising, it's developmental success that turns good offenses into unstoppable ones. Thornton entered the NFL with perfect physical tools, but questions about developing technical aspects quickly enough to contribute professionally. At 6'5", 205 pounds with blazing 4.30 speed, he looks laboratory built to be the perfect deep threat. But looking the part and playing it are entirely different in the NFL. The concerns were legitimate. Despite incredible athleticism, he only produced 661 receiving yards at Tennessee. The biggest knock was raw route running ability. He averaged explosive, FBS leading 25.4 yards per catch, but ran limited routes, raising ceiling questions. But here's what separates future stars from flameouts: identifying weaknesses and attacking them with relentless determination. Thornton didn't make excuses. He embraced limitations as motivation. The biggest knock on me was I wasn't a true route runner, Thornton said after practice. It's more motivation to get even better. That mindset, confronting criticism head on and using it as fuel, is exactly what championship organizations seek in draft picks. He's not running from needed improvements, he's running toward them with draft class speed. The timing couldn't be more perfect. Geno Smith is a gunslinger who loves deep shots. Under Carroll in Seattle, Smith developed incredible chemistry with big receivers like DK Metcalf, creating explosive, game-changing plays. Current Raiders receivers, Myers brings reliability. Tucker offers speed and versatility. Beck provides fundamentals. But none can provide the explosive game-breaking ability Thornton possesses at his ceiling. A player who could open vertical offensive dimensions that haven't existed in Las Vegas for years. Thornton's development is fascinating. He's learning leverage, coverage, feel, using size and speed to maximize effectiveness within professional offensive structure. Every training camp day, he's more comfortable with technical aspects that will let natural gifts flourish. His approach is compelling, not trying to be something he's not, but not limiting himself to what he's always been. He's focusing on fundamentals to become useful this season while maintaining explosive playmaking ability that made him intriguing. The potential impact extends beyond adding another receiver. If he can consistently stretch fields and demand safety attention, it opens everything underneath for Myers, Tucker, and tight ends. Defensive coordinators can't just focus on short intermediate passing. They must account for any snap potentially becoming a 50-yard touchdown. This is how offensive explosions happen. Not through one superstar, but multiple players developing into weapons, forcing impossible defensive choices. With Thornton emerging as legitimate deep threat, this offense could transform from predictable to unstoppable in one season. And that player, Thornton, was the one no one expected making biggest training camp waves. While veterans battled for positions and trade rumors swirled, Thornton was quietly progressing in ways that turned late-round picks into franchise-changing players. So here we stand, Raider Nation, an organization led by character veterans, a front office exploring smart moves to address weaknesses, and a rookie class developing faster than anticipated. The question isn't whether this team has competing pieces, it's whether they can put it together at the right time. Butler's leadership shows the culture being built. The potential Newsome trade demonstrates strategic thinking, addressing concerns without sacrificing flexibility. But Thornton's development represents something more valuable. Proof this organization's player development commitment actually works. If this fired you up, smash that like, drop your boldest prediction in comments, and subscribe because we're just scratching the surface. This Raider Nation story is building towards something special that could define the next silver and black era. Because this story, We're just getting started.